You say the same thing to every customer. Same pitch, same deck, same email, same follow-up. Then you wonder why some people buy and others don't. The issue may not be the offer, it may be the delivery.
Today, we are unpacking the power of profiles, why different people process the same information differently, and how personality type can shape what people notice, trust, question, and act on.
If you're keen in converting more often, this matters.
Welcome to Think Shift, the podcast where neuroscience meets business.
Hey Leanne, how you going?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Clint, how are you?
I'm good.
Nice hat.
Thank you. Yeah, a bit more merch.
Oh, love it. Looks really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Looks good.
It's not as comfortable as I would like, but maybe it just needs to settle in.
So maybe it needs to be worn in a little bit.
Worn in a bit. Yeah, it's like new shoes, right? Where you get blistered. Yeah, so you're looking good as well. Love the cape.
I've got a cape on. I'm a bit of a superhero today.
Bit of a superhero? Did you know not all heroes wear capes though?
True.
So
True.
that's
This
why I
one,
have mine on.
this one does.
This one, fair enough too. All right. So let's get into the power of profiles.
Yes, I love profiles.
Science behind personality and decision making. So people do not walk into a decision as blank slates. They bring patterns and preferences, risk tolerance, speed, emotion, the need for detail, need for control. That means the same message can land very differently depending on the person in front of you. So Leanne, why do different people respond so differently to the same information?
Firstly, we're all different.
And
There's a lot of different, that's it. And that's it. That's all, folks. No, we filter information very differently depending on our personality types, our traits, the innate inborn characteristics that we have. And there are a lot of, personality, profiling tools out there. I mean, I know we're going to touch on some, but we do, because of those characteristics and those identifiers, we do interpret and communicate very differently.
Right. So, but what does personality shape decision making? Like when it comes to making a quick decision or an important one?
It's more in the way that we make a decision. So some people will make decisions more quickly. Some people need more information to make a decision. Some people need more data to make a decision. People like me, I just need colour to make a decision. if it's fun, more impulsive. I mean, being serious, more impulsive making decisions. But it comes down to what is natural for us. We are not all the same, nor should we be, and we do fall into certain categories. I know we don't like being put in boxes, but the brain loves categories and patterns. So for us to understand each other and to communicate the best way possible, we need to be able to identify the certain category that someone falls in. Also, we need to identify the category that we fall in so we know what our default is and how that works with others.
Yeah. So it's interesting you say we don't like being put in boxes, but we are humans and humans have traits and things about us that are innate. Like that's just how we are. Yep. And so some things we cannot change and therefore we need to be spoken to differently, given information differently. I'm going to go through a lot of that coming up. So let's talk about one of the profiling tools that we use in our work called DISC, D-I-S-C, and it gets talked about a lot. So what is it in plain language?
Yeah, so DISC, you're right. DISC is a psychometric, it's a profiling tool that helps understand these particular primary traits and characteristics, how people behave, why they say the things they do, and how they think and make decisions. And it gives us certain characteristics and traits that we can follow and we can identify the way the type of person does communicate. And DISC is one of many tools. There are a lot out there. I am trained in a lot of different psychometrics as well. The one thing around, and there are people that are absolutely against profiling, but my question or response to that is, so how do you communicate two different personalities? Because people are different.
Yeah.
And if they say, I'm just being myself, that's wrong, because one of the biggest boo-boos that we make is we think that everyone wants to communicate in the same way we do. I'm a huge personality. I'm extremely animated. Okay, not today because I've got a cape on, so my hands are underneath the fabric. But if if I thought that everyone wanted to communicate the way that I am, I mean, it'd just be silly. And the world is made up of lots of different people doing lots of different things, different behaviors. And we need to identify that first. And we also need to identify that can maybe not us.
Yep.
And that's, one of the biggest things. So with DISC is one of the more easier and also scientifically validated profiling tools. I mean, I'm a scientist, right? So if it's not evidence-based, if it's not a gold standard, it needs to also be not preference-based. It needs to be innate, inborn, behavior-based, which DISC is, that I'm all for. And that's right, we use DISC profiling tool in our business.
We do. And it's interesting and it's super effective. And I know it can be bandied around and seen as a bit fluffy and whatnot, but not in the way we use it.
Not in the way we use it.
Also, once you start to understand it, you recognize the profiles out in the world, your clients and your customers, and you'll just see it. You'll recognize it straight away. And one of the funniest ones, which I remember you teaching me initially, was that you never ask a D profile how their weekend is on email. And I laughed at it at first, but then you see the pattern of behavior. And so I really recognize D's when they land in my inbox because it's just such a one-line, don't beat around the bush. We're going to go into the personality types and what they mean and what their preferences are in a minute. But I just found that so interesting. It was like, oh, my God, that's a D. It's landed in my inbox. They don't want to know about my weekend.
They're not interested.
They're not interested in telling me about their weekend. They just want you to cut to the chase, get to the point. How are you going to help them solve their problem? Let's get on with it kind of thing. And so when you understand that, then being able to sell to those groups in the way they need to be spoken to becomes effortless and conversions go through the roof. We're going to talk about that too. Okay, so why is this useful in sales and business? And I've kind of just touched on that a little bit. So you want to talk a little bit more?
Yeah, it just reduces friction points as well. So again, just reiterating around, not everyone is like us. And we shouldn't be communicating in the way that is comfortable for us. It needs to be what's comfortable for the person, for them.
Only if you want to sale.
And it may, if you don't want any sale, if you don't want to sell anything, and that's all right. Yeah, no, don't bother.
Yeah, that's right.
And people say, well, that's really uncomfortable for me. Well, yeah, it is. I mean, I'm a very high I personality, and for S personalities, which you are, Clint, and also C, I need to sometimes tone down the enthusiasm and the animation, because for some people, and this is where your primary and your secondary personality type comes into it, it can be overwhelming and it can be intimidating. I mean, I've been told, Leanne, you're really intimidating. I'm like, oh my God, I was mortified, because that's knowing me. That's
the last impression.
Oh my God, I would never want anyone to feel intimidated or uncomfortable, yet that was said to me, and it started making me think, how am I communicating with these people, and realizing that I need to adjust, and we all need to adjust.
I'm just going to go back to some of the definitions. I know we're assuming a bit here that everyone out there listening knows what DISC is and stands for. So I'm just going to run through them just really quickly. Yeah. So D, so this is DISC in the DISC profile. D often seeks control, outcomes, and speed.
So D stands for dominant.
Dominance. Yep. Then I.
Influence.
And that often seeks connection, enthusiasm, social proof, partnerships. S.
Steadiness.
Often seeks stability, support, and reassurance.
Right.
And C
is compliance, but also can be known as conscientious.
Often seeks accuracy, logic, and detail.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important that we frame that, because we're talking about
we
jumped into it. We jumped straight in.
Yeah. So DISC is like a wheel. There's four quadrants. Obviously, there's four quadrants. DISC, and the colours essentially are that D is red, I is yellow, S is green, and C is blue.
And you mentioned before that there's a primary and secondary. So largely, we want to be talking to
The
primary.
Yeah. But the secondary profile of a person is sort of the undercurrent of how someone does operate and communicate and behave. So it's also, once you're advanced in DISC and get to learn it a little bit more, it's really good to understand the secondary profile, because that then sort of solidifies, that's why they're acting in that way, or that's why they want to be responded in that way, because you've got the undercurrent of the secondary profile.
That's it. I'm an SI.
You are.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm an ID.
An ID.
ID.
Okay. So we've talked about it as in a nutshell. What is the risk of using it badly, though?
Oh, well, I mean, you're communicating the wrong way. I can even say lost sales. I've seen
Categorically?
It's absolutely seen sales, no deal, absolutely not moving ahead, not negotiating, refusing to communicate, refusing to respond to emails, because there has been a miscommunication based on not being able to profile someone and communicate in the way that they want to. There's an interesting statistic from Harvard that it's purely around digital communication, but the statistic is that over 50% of emails are misunderstood and misinterpreted via tone. So let's just think, and there's around 340 billion emails globally that are sent a day. We're talking a lot of emails that where the tone is misinterpreted because
no emojis.
There's no emojis, but emojis would. So a D profile would hate emojis.
Hate them.
So that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And then some overuse emojis. So this is where we need to understand the profile, and it's around tone and interpretation, because it doesn't resonate with the viewer or the reader, and that number has gone up. Because a couple of years ago, when I was looking at this report, because the report comes out each year, it was below 50%, and it is now in the high 50s.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting around talking to the wrong audience in the wrong way. And I've seen this with scopes of work and proposals. If you've got a D who just wants you to cut to the chase, and you send them a prop full of fluff, they don't even read it.
Nope.
Which is, if they sign, you may say, well, they signed it and we got it across the line, which is fine, but they don't read the detail. So they don't actually know what they've signed up to.
No.
So quite often you'll be mid-project and they'll be like, oh, where's this? And you're like, scope of work, it said, we're not doing that. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, to that point where it's like, you got to be so careful with each profile, making sure that you're giving them enough information, but also not assuming that they're reading everything you've put in there.
Yeah. So with, proposals with Ds are interesting, because one thing that I do and that I teach is to always have an executive summary. So you've got the short version of it, so they can skim and read and get the gist and the scope of the scope.
So is that at the front of it?
Yeah, and it'll be right at the beginning. Okay. Yeah, and it'll be a 1 page, maybe a 2 page, so like printed like front and back. So 1 page printed front and back. Because what often happens, especially in corporate, is that you'll get a CEO who will essentially be the decision maker. That might be a D, often they are, and they will read and welcome the executive summary, and then they will give the full proposal to, say, the CFO or the COO, so Chief Financial Officer or Chief Operational Officer, to read the detail, because they are more around the S and the C profile, and that's their thing.
Yep.
That's their jam. And so based on that, they will highlight things that might be risky or don't comply, where the D is like, you just tell me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but that doesn't always happen. Like in smaller businesses, SMEs, doesn't always happen. So it can be the owner or the business leader that is a D that is making the entire decisions. That's why you need to be very careful in how you represent and deliver a quote or a proposal.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. Let's talk about now what to look out for in conversations. So you don't always need a formal profile to notice patterns.
No.
People show you how they want to receive information. You just have to listen to it, and you get better at it over time. The more you hear each profile, you'll start to recognize them. At least I know I have. So I'm going to talk now about some D types in conversations. Let's talk about the dominant.
Yeah.
They want the point quickly. They ask about outcomes, risks, control, or speed. They may interpret or move the conversation forwards really quickly. They want options and consequences. They dislike too much detail too early. Is there anything else there that you would add to that?
Yeah,
mix?
they can. Yeah, no, that's good. And they can also they can seem quite assertive, and in a way sometimes rude, but they don't mean it at all. At all.
Especially in the emails with zero tone, no emojis.
Yeah.
They come across as super rude.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's okay. Now I know this because I've done the profiling. But you look at that in the past, I'd go, they're so rude. Wow, what an arsehole. I don't want to work with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually that's just
the way they are, yeah.
So that's what I would add is there's some triggers to be aware of. And they don't tend to take things personally, so neither should you.
I actually had a D explain that to me the other day, one of my clients, and he said, I know we've been working together for some time. I hope you didn't take my, messages personally. He brought it down to like the fact that I was Australian, and because this was an overseas client, he said, the Aussies can just, you wear it on the chin more, you take feedback better and all that. And I'm thinking, well,
You're crying in the corner.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking, well, actually just know that you're a D and that's how you communicate. So it didn't affect me. But interesting.
Interesting that he thought he had to explain himself.
Yeah.
So it's obviously been misunderstood before, probably by someone that doesn't realise that he's a dominant personality.
Yeah. Interesting. He needs to do more work on this profiling.
Okay.
All right. So in terms of an I,
so
what are some of the signs?
Yeah, so the signs of an I, that's me. Me in a nutshell. I'm a very high I, so they respond to energy, enthusiasm, and social connection. We're very social creatures. We love storytelling, using colourful language, a lot of metaphors. There's people listening to this going, yep, I totally am. Talk through ideas out loud. Talk through anything out loud, really. And that actually is really good at helping us, get to make some good decisions. We also welcome partnerships and collaboration as well. We're hosts of good parties too, Eyes. Yeah.
So is it more like the founder, like startup-y kind of character? I know a lot of them are D, but
a lot of them are D and some of them are C's as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
very compliant. I'm not
trying to piginehole particular industries.
You're trying to put me in a box. But you know what though? That's an interesting point because some industries, people with certain behaviours and certain personality traits will gravitate towards certain industries and disciplines. Back when I was, a clinician back in the day in the hospital, we would have medical physicists that would QA a lot of the equipment for delivery of radiation. Well, that's going to be a C personality through and through, and that's exactly what you want. Someone that hyper detailed, data-driven, analytics, will check, double check, triple check, quadruple check. Engineers, biomedical engineering engineers, civil engineers. They are the type of people that you want those behaviours and those traits because they are suited for that role.
Yeah.
And then there's some other roles that not so much. More the creators are more IS, and so we tend to gravitate towards certain industries based on our profile. Going back to the I. They care about how others will respond. We do tend to take things personally sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. And they maybe...
Do they need to work on that?
Yes. Are you saying I need to work on it? No. Yes, I do. We're just very caring and sharing, kind. And they may be influenced by social proof and excitement very much. So from a trust perspective, it's interesting. We tend to trust everyone, but we do when there's reviews and testimonials and the shiny object, we can't help ourselves and we will gravitate towards that.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. You said you're very trusting. Is that where my secondary I comes in?
But S's are trusting as
well. Yeah.
Because we're on the people side, the people side of the globe rather than the task-oriented side of the globe.
Okay, so now I'm going to move into S now, which is I am one of. We value reassurance and stability. We ask how change will affect people. We may need time and support. We dislike pressure. Yes. We want to know what happens next and who will help. Anything else you want to flag about me that you know?
We just like losing the tip of our fingers.
Yes, we do. We need all tips.
Yeah, you need all tips.
Yeah.
No, that's spot on. Spot on. Yeah.
Okay. And what about a C?
So a C, I gave an example with the physicists and engineers. So around detail, data, very driven by data analytics. logic and process. They want to understand risk and accuracy. In fact, they don't really make any decisions without a risk appetite being sort of discovered or evolved in their process. They may resist vague claims. They generally do resist vague claims. They need time to assess. It's really hard for them to make a decision because you can always do it again and it can always be done better. So that perfectionism is really
so they slow down the room in some ways.
Yes.
Okay.
And they prefer evidence over emotion. I mean, C's are the ones that want the 100-page manual.
So D's would not get along well with C's?
Well, interestingly, you
like
can
Batman and Robin?
but you can actually be a CD and a DC personality as a primary and a secondary, which is very interesting. I find, a lot of CEOs are, a lot of surgeons are, especially neurosurgeons can be CDs. What is tricky is the DS.
Right.
So when you go diagonal, the dominant to the steady.
Interesting.
You were finding that person very rude until you understood that he was a D and thought that you was going to take it personally. Also, S's can be too, let's say, slow, stable, and not risky enough for a D. And the same with the I and the C going diagonally with I's. They can just be too fluffy and too colourful, too big, too loud for a C. And then with I's, we get bored with the data.
Yeah, you get bored.
Essentially, we get bored. We need it, but we get bored. But we need to give it to someone that loves it. Yeah.
Okay, so I just said pivot from a previous episode.
You did, which we don't like that word.
I don't like the word pivot.
Yeah.
Okay, so what should you listen for beyond the words?
Yeah, so not just the language that people are using, it's also a lot of body language and also how people speak. So speed or pace of speech, cadence of speech, pausing. Body language, leaning forward, leaning back, being animated, hands up, hands down. Often I find people will cross their certain personality profile will cross their arms, not in a defensive, because when you cross your arms, it definitely leads to defensiveness, but no, it's more of a comfort thing. So there are, these other traits will help guide you to understand and recognize the different profiles.
So give me an example, say for a D, what's some of those physical? Yeah.
So physical would be leaning back. So body language. So D's and C's, so on the task side, will tend to lean back, where on the more people side or emotion side, which are the I's and the S's, we will tend to lean forward.
Lean in.
Yeah, lean in. From a speech perspective, pace, I mean, I's speak very fast, S's a little bit slower, D's can speak fast, but they'll be minimalistic. And also the pausing. So D's will pause, S's will pause, I's will not pause. So there's some of...
Can attest.
Sorry.
That's what we love about you.
Oh my gosh, there's no pausing.
There's no pausing.
There's no pausing. Yeah. So the emotional tone, the way people object as well. So even in a sales and marketing perspective, a D might object and say, not interested.
Just straight up.
Yeah, straight up.
Sounds a bit rude, but
where and I will go, it's not really what I was thinking about, and S's will be, it looks really good, but I need time to think about it, right?
Okay.
And then C's will show me the evidence and the data. There isn't enough information here for me to make a decision.
Okay.
So that's some of the language that you would hear.
And you'd see that in the room for sure in a lot of meetings. Yeah, 100%.
Yes, absolutely.
Before we continue, don't forget to follow, like and subscribe to ThinkShift on all major platforms so you don't miss out on what shift is coming up next. So now we're going to talk about where profiles show up in sales, marketing and leadership.
Yeah.
So they're not just a marketing exercise. They shape sales conversions, pitch decks.
They could be pick decks.
Pick decks. Customer journeys, onboarding, team communication, even internal change management. How does this show up in sales scripts?
So with a D buyer, if we want to go through each of with a D buyer, it needs to be concise. It needs to be quick. It needs to be easy, not too much effort, be able to make a decision pretty quickly. So, yeah, concise, confirmed, straight to the point. An iBuyer is more around vision, storytelling, energy. They love stories, and they'll give you a story. Partnership and collaboration, very much around what can we do together and how we work together. An S wants reassurance and stability, and things along around, I will guide you through the process. I'll be with you every step of the way.
Okay.
And with a C, it will be, well, here's the data, here's the report, here's the analytics, here's some of the processes or frameworks that you can use, and based on that, we can make a decision together. So, yeah, around the sales scripts or sales language, that's sort of what you need to look out for.
So the same offer needs different emphasis. I guess that could be particularly tricky off the cuff, but if you've got a predetermined follow-up strategy and the profile of that customer, then you can then talk to them in the way they need to be spoken to.
Yeah. And, following up with, how do you follow up? Asking them, and this is another thing we don't do, naughty us, is we don't ask preferred medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, preferred medium. Is it a phone call? Is it an email? Do you want to meet over? Oh gosh, what's that? God, no. Or text? No, naughty. What about Zoom? Or again, then we go online: Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, WebEx. Ask the question. Ask the question.
Yeah.
What? How do you phone? Phone call or what? There are preferences for each of these. I mean, I've written an ebook around called Personality Intelligence that identifies all of these. If anyone is interested, let Clint and I know.
Is there a link on your website?
Yeah, there is a link. Yeah, there's a link on my website. If you go to the ebooks and guides, there you'll find them. You'll find them there. And the language that we use around that also is really important. So yeah.
Okay. How does this show up in pitch sequencing that you've seen?
So it can change. So for
structure mine in particular,
yeah,
I'd be interested in your take.
Yeah. So D's, their outcome more like, what's the point? What's going to happen? What are you going to give me? What am I going to get out of this? What's in it for me? Very much around that. Where I's is, what's the journey that is get to a certain outcome? I want to know the outcome, but how do we do it? S's would be around, what do you need me to do? What do we do together? I often use the term how we work together, and I actually call the page in my proposal how we work together, and that resonates really well with an S. And then with a C, you want data first, maybe testimonials, reviews, case studies and white papers, provide that up front. For them to see, the evidence, to see the capability, and then you would go into the rest of the deck after that. Yeah.
All right, so that's a massive change from the other, particularly on the C. Is a vast structural change, right? I mean,
very different.
It's huge.
Very different. Don't even put graphs. Unless you can do a high-level graph or pie chart or something like, or infographic. D's love infographics because it's a lot of information in one graphic, but unless you can do a high level that has a lot of information on one image, do not bother.
Right.
Yeah, do not bother.
Okay.
It's too time-consuming and it is just too much information for them to compute.
How does this apply to customer profiling?
Well, geez, I mean, one of the biggest mistakes we make is not profiling customers and thinking that they want to communicate in the way that we are. So with so we have a proprietary DISC framework that we use in neurodesign.
Yep.
And with that is around, identifying yourself. That's one part of it, but the most important part is using the framework to identify the customer. So you know how to communicate, how to behave, what language to use, how to negotiate, how to address objections, how you will design the style of pricing for a particular profile. And that's really important. And knowing that will exponentially increase your conversions.
100%.
So I mean that's why we created
That's
this.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do businesses get profiles wrong? Because it's very easy.
What I'm giggling at is I've got, as you can probably, if you're watching, you can see what's some notes in front of me, and Clint's written we ignore them. That's it in a nutshell.
Yes.
We ignore them. Yeah,
Completely
that's
just ignore all profile. Just this is what I've always done.
Always done. This is what's comfortable for me. You don't even. There is a lack of acceptance of knowing that you may need to change or adapt the way that you communicate. Not willing.
It's confronting.
It is.
Especially when you've got years of history and communicating one particular style or way, and then suddenly you're forced to change that. Yeah. That's a relearn.
It is. I mean, I'm a director on a number of boards. There's one board meeting in particular, one board that I'm on that I have to actually, and I do this, I sit on my hands because the majority of the board members are around S's and C's, and me flapping my hands around and being really animated puts them off. And they know me, they know that that's me, but it distracts them. And I don't want them to distract. I want really good information and ideas and opinions and
sure.
and I want curious minds to work at their best. So we bring all our skills and genius to the board table. I don't want to distract them, so I literally sit on my hands during most of the meeting to stop myself. Now that's not comfortable.
So when they say, "Can I get a raise of hands on who agrees?" You just like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, raise a shoulder. No, we electronically vote these days.
Oh, we do.
It's very fancy.
That is fancy.
Okay. But that's, learning to adjust, and it can be confronting, but the benefits outweigh, any uncomfortableness.
Yes.
Discomfort, that would be.
Discomfort.
Discomfort. Very nice.
Yeah, see how I worked that in?
Clever.
Yeah, very clever. So some other examples here that we can talk about of it in action: a sales deck that opens with a big vision for one buyer but risk reduction for another, which we just talked about. So C, bringing up the data and the testimonials and everything up front. A pricing conversion where one buyer wants the number fast while another needs context first. Customer onboarding flow that gives every user the same path. And a proposal that loses a C-style buyer because the proof is too thin. So, I think, isn't that conversely to what I would give to a D in many ways? Although the Ds still want a bit of data. They need to know, what do you...
High level.
High level, not the weeds.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, and I think a really good tip you gave was that the executive summary for the executive summary. Summarize the summary.
Yeah, summarize. That's exactly right. Yeah.
That's excellent advice, I think, for everyone listening to this podcast.
So I knew I wore a cape for a reason.
A real superhero today.
Yes.
As a business, how to use profiles properly is what we're going to talk about next.
Okay.
The point isn't to create more documents. I know everyone out there is probably thinking, oh my God, you're going to make me make 4 times the amount of documents that I have to talk to all these different customers. The point is to communicate with more precision. So what should businesses do before building profiles?
So you need to know what the outcome is and the goal that you're trying to achieve with the person. You want to also understand what their pain points are and what irks them, what is a demotivator. Conversely, you want to know what is a motivator, and what it will work for them. Also, around the communication mediums as well. What is it that they would like to use? What's their preferred method? One thing I do in my business, and we've actually done this together for neurodesign, is actually a piece of software that I use to create customer journey maps, empathy maps, and profiles and personas. And I, within a particular D profile, I profile, S profile, C profile, I have these little icons that will be, what social or digital, tech that they prefer or use. What they like, and they're there for everybody to see. And often, even with my CRM, I will put their disc profile or what profile that how I've profiled them, that is now a field in my CRM. So if anyone goes to the CRM, they know, this person is a D. I need to communicate this way.
Specific way, yes.
This is what I'm going to create for them. It needs to be in a particular way. So it actually becomes part of the single source of truth platform for everyone within the business. Mm-hmm. But you need to be able to identify these particular things first before you then create the profile, because you want your profiles to be as accurate as possible.
Yeah. No, makes sense. So I've got a list here of some ways you can adapt communication without changing the core message. And you chime in at any point if I've missed the mark here.
Oh, I will. I'm an I.
Yes. So keep the offer the same, but change the order of information.
Yep.
change the emphasis, change the level of detail,
Yep.
change the proof points, and change the follow-up style, which is
Yeah.
probably the most key. I'd say the follow-up style.
Yeah. Yeah. And also follow-up cadence as well.
Cadence.
Yeah. So, with Ds, we need to be very careful that we're not too pushy, even though they're pushy.
Just don't be too over-communicative.
Yeah, no, not at all. Where with I's, you can be a little bit more, S's for sure, and C's will do it in their own time.
Okay.
But knowing, and just giving time and giving space between the points of interaction, I guess. With the I's and with the S's, you can increase the cadence, so you can do it more often.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can increase the cadence and do it more often. But with C's and D's that are task focus based profiles, you want to reduce. Yeah, you want to reduce that and do it less frequent.
Okay. How should teams use this in sales and marketing? So, is there some ways that they can navigate the profiling? I mean, it can seem quite cumbersome and exhaustive. What are some definitive ways that they can use this?
Yeah, so within sales and marketing, I mean, we touched on that a little bit before, but again, I would like to emphasize around speech, verbal cues and non-verbal cues.
Yeah.
So and these are good ways to identify, because I always say to my graduates of the course, which I teach this, I will say, I expect you, once you finish this course, that you'll be able to walk into a room and it might take some time, but technically choose 10 people and be able to profile them. It should start coming to you quite easily. It's an occupational hazard for me. I profile I go into IGA and into Coles and I'm profiling people. I mean, it is what it is, but it's good. It's good to do, and it just becomes a natural thing. People have identified. They'll say, "Geez, you really understand. I've been watching you communicate with these people, and just the way that you've changed, going from this person to this person. It's really good. It's part of obviously who you are. No, it's part of profiling." And, I've been a profiler in many different aspects, not just personality profiling, bad people profiling too, for nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
So, I also do facial recognition profiling, but that is, not for now. But you don't need to do that. It's identifying, again, speech, pausing, pace, body language, animation, transfer of weight, forward and back, crossing of the arms, lifting of the eyebrows or the eyes, those kinds of things that you can identify and easily use to then profile a particular person, and then straight away go into conversation.
Yeah, that's a super powerful technique to master, I would say, for anybody in sales or marketing.
Yeah.
So I've got some quick wins here that our listeners can implement. Take one sales deck and create 4 opening pathways. We've done this for proposals. Yes. You and I have worked on some businesses where in the real estate game specifically, where the proposals were set up for different profiles, and the way they were structured and designed were talking to those 4 profiles in very different ways. Super effective. Rewrite one follow-up email for a fast decider and a detail seeker. Add what matters most to you to discovery calls. And I think you just touched on that in terms of communication style. That's another thing that you can add in there, right? What matters most to you. And stop using one generic nurture sequence for every buyer, because we all do it. We've all sat there and gone, I just want to do it once. It was hard doing the one. I don't want to make 4. But if it means an increase. You have to
do the 4 once.
And you have to do 4 once.
Yeah.
And it means an uplift in sales and conversion.
Yeah, we talk about 80 to 90% conversion rates, which people say to me, "Oh, that's ridiculous and that's impossible." No, that's my expectation.
Yeah,
and that's that's how we work. And it's because of these tools that we're trying to encourage you guys and teach you guys to use to get to that.
Yeah.
Does it take some work? Oh, it might take having to construct 4 profiles. Big deal. If you're going to get those, that success and those numbers, then you do it, and it does work.
Yeah.
It's proven, and they are such powerful tools, and also gives you a huge advantage over your competitors.
100%.
Who's, I can guarantee, most are not doing this.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And in terms of being able to measure these, I've got some focus areas that you can look at to see if they're working or not once you've implemented them. So sales conversion by buyer type, You just categorically go, we put these in front of these buyer types. What did sales look like when we did this exercise? And of course, it's like anything. It's like websites. It's never set and forget. It's going to be a constant massage and nurture and finessing, if you like, of those materials. Drop-off points in the sales process, so identifying where those are, and then analyzing those and fixing those. Response rates to follow-up emails, so figuring out what's working when mass emails are going out and what isn't. And quality of inquiries by message angle. So you can tell pretty quickly whether you're getting a whole bunch of tire kickers, responding to your emails that are going out there. Anything else you'd add to those?
No, it's pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, well done.
Nice one. Here's a shift. The message does not always need to change. The delivery does. Different people need different things before they can trust a decision. Some need speed, some need proof, some need reassurance. Some need energy and connection. If you say the same thing the same way to everyone, you create friction you cannot see. The better question is not, what do we need to say? The better question is, what does this person need to hear, see, or feel before they can move? One action for the listener this week: pick one sales conversion, proposal, landing page, or internal message. Ask, who is it really written for? Then ask who it might be failing. Adjust the order, proof, or tone before changing the whole offer. And that's Think Shift. I'm Clint.
And I'm Leanne.
One idea, one shift in round about 30 minutes. If this changed how you think, share it with someone who makes decisions for a living.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to Think Shift on all platforms so you don't miss what shift is coming up next.
We'll see you in the next episode.
This is a March Made Media production.